right here, straight to the point.
Only Channel 2 was there as the FBI raided a Marietta apartment complex as they picked up 30 of 32 alleged gang members. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the gangster disciples used charitable organizations as fronts for their illegal activity. And according to the indictment, Vancito Gums bragged that he was a hitman for the organization.
Former officer Vancito Gums, he worked as a self-professed hitman for the gang while serving on the DeKalb County Police Force. All 5 men were convicted on charges including racketeering. Deputies in Cherokee County say they've arrested a member of the Gangster Disciples street gang. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office tells us Hayden Shaw is accused of firing a gun at a gas station in Akron.
District Attorney Vonnie Willis on a 94-page indictment spelling out 220 charges against 26 people alleged to be involved with the drug-rich gang.
They use things like prescription bottles and money symbols, and this is in their jewelry and their tattoos, and we see that present here.
Former Atlanta Falcon is charged in a major human trafficking bust in Gwinnett County. The operation is tied to some of the biggest gangs in the country. A grand jury has charged 8 people, including the ex-player Eric Johnson, with trafficking women for sexual servitude, terrorism, and kidnapping.
Police say they've dismantled a dangerous street gang in Gwinnett County.
That's right. 2 gang bosses, along with several other more gang members, are behind bars tonight.
Since January, Gwinnett County police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims.
A gang shootout on neighborhood streets. Now police are cracking down. They've arrested 10 people on 70 felony charges.
Since January, Gwinnett County police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims Blood Street Gang, including 29-year-old Wanawan Wanzon, the alleged leader of the Atlanta branch of the gang, and Marlon Smith, the so-called leader of the gang branch in Virginia, North Carolina.
The leader of a serial armed robbery crew has been sentenced to life in prison after violent restaurant robberies across Gwinnett County, all happening in 2017. Demetrius Sims was given 4 consecutive life sentences plus 90
Story
years.
tonight at 11. The founder of the Mafia criminal street gang in Middle Georgia was sentenced to the maximum prison term allowed by law for illegally possessing a firearm. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde will spend the next 15 years behind bars, followed by 3 years of probation.
Officials say there are about 70,000 gang members in the state of Georgia, and they say most of the violent crimes and crimes that involve property are committed by suspects associated with some of these local gangs.
It happened around 2 a.m. at Wings Cafe on Bloomfield Drive. According to a news release, a fight broke out at a club, and then during the fight, 2 people were fatally shot.
The county sheriff's office is looking for 3 men wanted in an early morning armed robbery. Deputies say the men robbed the Waffle House on Chambers Road around 5 this morning.
Bibb County Sheriff David Davis held a news conference announcing the arrest of 33 people in Macon Bibb.
They've had an operation going on through the month of October, all the way up through last week, called Operation Hidden Eye.
The attack was in retaliation for the rapper entering a rival gang's territory to film a music video.
In the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are.
Authorities say a high-ranking member of the GoodFellas gang who was incarcerated orchestrated the attack using a smuggled cell phone.
Cobb and Clayton County investigators and the FBI say they got these 20 dangerous gang members off the streets. They're facing a laundry list of felony charges.
It may seem like I'm trying to help Doug out. I'm not trying to help him out. I don't care nothing about him, what he got going on, nothing. I care about the truth. The truth was, I was going through a phase in my life, and I have put all the blame on him. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he got going on. But y'all got me on the stand, and I'm telling the God honest truth. Leave me out of this.
Georgia, the Peach State, home to one of the busiest airports on earth, a booming film industry, and a capital city that became the beating heart of American hip-hop. But underneath that success story runs a different Georgia. One investigators have been fighting from the suburbs of Gwinnett County to the streets of Macon, from Atlanta's recording studios to the housing complexes where entire crews put down roots. This isn't the story of one gang or one city. It's a journey across the whole state. From the massive RICO case that put Young Thug and YSL at the center of a national debate, to the Piru Bloods who carried a Compton street name all the way into the Deep South. From the 56 gang and drug-rich empires hidden behind suburban shopping centers, to Gran Familia's military-style syndicate, to the gangster disciples who turned Chicago roots into a Georgia stronghold. From rolling 60s Crips to 5'9" Brims Bloods. From the LOTTO gang to the leaders who ran it all until the indictments came down. And on the other side of every one of these stories, the FBI, the sheriff's offices, the district attorneys, and the task forces building cases through wiretaps, ballistics, and Georgia's powerful gang and RICO laws. Operation Tourniquet, Operation Hidden Eye, Operation Clean House, indictment after indictment, arrest after arrest, a relentless back and forth between the people running these networks and the people working to dismantle them. We're going to take you case by case, crew by crew, the rise, the crimes, the courtroom drama, and the sentences that followed. Some of these cases ended in life without parole. Some turned into the longest trials in Georgia history, and some are still unfolding right now. As always, everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This is Georgia's gang landscape exposed. Let's get into it.
We have new developments in the gang crackdown involving rapper Young Thug. Police arrested more than 24 people, including the artist, and accused them of running a violent gang.
Just days ago, Cordarius Dorsey, also known as YSL Polo, was making some unusual hand gestures in court. On Friday, Young Thug's attorney filed a motion to sever from Dorsey, claiming his behavior could negatively impact Young Thug's chance for a fair trial. Well, the motion reads that Mr. Dorsey displayed unprofessional and unacceptable conduct in the courtroom on Thursday, August 31st. Legal expert Daryl Cohen says this move could both extend and shorten the criminal proceeding.
11 Alive is tracking a growing list of defendants now taking plea deals in the case.
As the calendar ticks closer to a trial, the list of defendants taking plea deals in the high-profile YSL case continues to grow. Last week, Sergio Kitchens, better known as Rapper Gunna, took the first plea deal, followed by Walter Murphy, an alleged YSL co-founder. Then Wonnie Lee, rapper Slime Life Shawty, and Martinez Arnold, rap name Little Duke, cut deals. Now Quantavious Greer, or rapper Un Funk, entered a guilty plea. All 5 have been sentenced to between 9 and 10 years on probation.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth. I take full responsibility for, my crimes or my charges. I want to say sorry to my family, my mom. My mom got 11 kids.
Better known as Young Thug, on probation yesterday, so he's on his way home to Los Angeles. 3 other defendants pleaded guilty this week in exchange for shorter prison sentences, so they're done with trial as well. That leaves just Diamante Kendrick, Shannon Stillwell, their teams, and the state in the courtroom. Former DeKalb County District Attorney Robert James says that's tough to explain to jurors who were sworn in a year ago today.
Atlanta rap star Jeffrey Young Thug Williams was the founder of Young Slime Life, a collective that prosecutors said functioned as a violent street gang in southeast Atlanta beginning around 2012. Authorities linked YSL to deletions, shootings, carjackings, armed robberies, and drug trafficking, framing the group as a criminal enterprise. In May 2022, a Fulton County grand jury unsealed a 65-count RICO indictment against Young Thug and 27 associates. Prosecutors alleged that Williams co-founded and led the gang, while many of his co-defendants were charged with racketeering, gun violations, and murder in aid of racketeering. After a lengthy legal process, Young Thug accepted an Alford plea in October 2024, admitting no guilt but accepting a conviction for gang, drug, and firearm charges. He was sentenced to 40 years, with 5 years as time served and 15 years on probation. He was released the same day under strict conditions, including a ban on firearms and gang associations. Several other YSL defendants also took plea deals and took the stand, receiving probation and time-served sentences. By 2025, only 2 defendants from the original case remained on trial, with verdicts still pending as of mid-year. The YSL indictment became one of Georgia's most high-profile RICO cases, highlighting the overlap between the music industry and organized street crime. and marking a major moment in the state's aggressive anti-gang enforcement.
PD announced they now have charged 7 people with the murders.
2 13-year-olds were innocent victims caught in a gang retaliation shooting while celebrating a birthday.
The overall theme of this case is grown men playing gangster.
This was wounded last July in a shooting on Spark Street. Its investigators blamed the deadly shooting on a local rapper. They said the attack was in retaliation for the rapper entering a rival gang's territory to film a music video.
In the subsequent days, we saw homicides and shootings, and ultimately the deaths of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are.
Authorities say a high-ranking member of the GoodFellas gang who was incarcerated orchestrated the attack using a smuggled cell phone.
In March 2025, a federal grand jury in the Northern District of Georgia unsealed charges against 8 members and associates of the Atlanta-based gang known as the GoodFellas. Prosecutors described the group as a violent criminal enterprise that recruits from local neighborhoods and jail populations. The indictment is part of an ongoing federal crackdown on organized gang activity in the Atlanta metro area. The GoodFellas were tied to several high-profile shootings. In February 2021, members allegedly opened fire at an Atlanta gas station, targeting rival gang members and wounding a responding police officer. The group is also linked to a deadly July 2024 triple shooting that deleted 2 teenagers, and a November 2024 plot to delete correctional officers inside the Fulton County Jail. In March 2024, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr announced the indictment of 3 alleged members of the PDE gang, also known as Paradise East or paper drugs extortion on state gang and weapons charges. The gang is named after the Paradise East apartment complex in southeast Atlanta and is known to use the tag 4 leaders. Investigators say PD originated in Atlanta but has ties to the Sex Money Bloods gang out of New York. The defendants, ranging in age from 17 to 32, were indicted under Georgia Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act following an Atlanta Police Department investigation. The charges include illegal firearm possession and gang activity. One of the suspects, a convicted felon, was allegedly caught with a machine gun and illegal drugs. While no deletions were linked to PDE in this case, prosecutors emphasized that the indictments were part of a broader effort to disrupt gang-related violence and remove illegal weapons from Atlanta neighborhoods. The case is being prosecuted at the state level, and all 3 defendants await trial as of 2025.
Sandy Springs Police confirming to Channel 2 Action tonight about the investigation.
Attorney General Chris Carr announced that the Georgia Gang Prosecution Unit has secured a 52-count indictment in Fulton County against 3 individuals, Shaquille Bell, Contrellis Brooks, and Marcus Thornton, on charges related to gang activity, narcotics trafficking, and firearms offenses. The defendants are accused of violating the Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, as well as trafficking drugs with intent to distribute and unlawfully possessing firearms during the commission of felonies. According to the indictment, all 3 individuals were allegedly involved in criminal activity while affiliated with the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, a well-known street gang that originated in Los Angeles and has since established a significant presence throughout Atlanta. The charges stem from Operation Heatwave, a summer-long law enforcement initiative led by the Atlanta Police Department. Now in its 2nd year, Operation Heatwave is a collaborative effort among local, state, and federal agencies to reduce violent crime by targeting gangs, illegal firearms, and drug distribution networks in Atlanta's most violence-prone neighborhoods. Operation Heatwave's 16-week enforcement effort led to a total of 96 arrests, including 41 suspected gang members, and the recovery of 62 firearms. The Gang Prosecution Unit presented evidence to a Fulton County grand jury, leading to the indictment of Bell, Brooks, and Thornton on August 31, 2023.
A gang shootout on neighborhood streets. Now police are cracking down. They've arrested 10 people on 70 felony charges.
You can see the bullet holes still in the garage at this house. If you look up, there's a bullet hole still in the window. Neighbors tell me they ducked for cover as this house was targeted. But even as the suspects were running out, a completely innocent family had their house shot up as well. Now there is relief that police have 10 people in custody.
I'm still in shock that this went like this over here.
A shooting that Gwinnett County police say was gang-related still has neighbors in this Buford community rattled and upset.
An ongoing investigation into a series of gang-related shootings in Gwinnett County has resulted in the arrest of 10 individuals and the issuance of multiple warrants. The probe began when Gwinnett County police responded to a shots-fired call on Brookdale Drive in Buford, Georgia, where several homes had been struck by gunfire. Investigators determined the incident stemmed from a gang dispute. Days later, 18-year-old Kamani Semi Rhodes, who had been a victim in the Brookdale Drive shooting, spotted someone he believed was behind the attack. Police say Rhodes and 19-year-old Willie Taylor opened fire from their vehicle as they passed the alleged suspect's car. Following both shootings, officers arrested 6 suspects and later identified 4 more individuals connected to a series of gang-related crimes. The suspects, all between the ages of 16 and 20, face charges ranging from aggravated assault and armed robbery to participation in criminal street gang activity.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis on a 94-page indictment spelling out 220 charges against 26 people alleged to be involved with the drug-rich gang.
They use things like prescription bottles and money symbols, and this is in their jewelry and their tattoos, and we see that present here.
Investigators say the gang started in DeKalb County in 2016, but has branched out across metro Atlanta, committing crimes like shootings, home invasions, and burglaries. Their 16 targets include Atlanta celebrities, athletes, and influencers who all post their possessions on social media.
They're immediately going to closets. They're immediately going to bedrooms. They know where these high-end items are.
According to this indictment from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, investigators used rap lyrics and social media to track down some of the gang members. Last week, Sandy Springs police announced the arrest of 3 people in Florida tied to the drug-rich gang. Sergeant Matt McGinnis says gang members are not stopping there.
In January 2023, Gwinnett County authorities unsealed a sweeping 210-count RICO indictment that sent shockwaves through Metro Atlanta's law enforcement and criminal justice community. The case targeted 2 violent and interconnected street gangs, the 56 Gang and the drug-rich crew, responsible for a disturbing pattern of violence, retaliation, and organized crime stretching back to at least 2021. The investigation, which began after a deadly shooting in Duluth, would uncover a ruthless criminal enterprise built on fear, drugs, and gunfire, and culminate in the arrest of 25 individuals, with 1 fugitive still at large. The investigation began in earnest after the August 2021 deletion of Jeremiah Preto, who was shot and met his demise on Boggs Road in Duluth, Georgia. Authorities say Preto was lured to the location by members of the 56 Gang, ambushed, and executed in a planned hit. His murder wasn't random. It was part of a broader power struggle between the 56 Gang and rival sets, particularly a faction known as the Blitz. The demise became the centerpiece of the indictment and revealed the gang's use of calculated violence to eliminate perceived enemies and assert control over their territory. In addition to the Preto demise, members of 56 and Drug Rich were tied to multiple attempted deletions. Investigators detailed several incidents where gang members fired into occupied vehicles and homes, targeting rival gang members and even civilians caught in the crossfire. These shootings were often planned in group chats or during in-person meetups, with designated drivers, shooters, and lookouts. One attempted shooting involved a car chase and shootout in a residential neighborhood, putting dozens of lives at risk. Another targeted a rival who had allegedly posted disrespectful messages on social media, resulting in a high-speed pursuit and gunfire exchanged in broad daylight. The gangs didn't survive solely on drug profits. They also engaged in violent armed robberies and carjackings, often using the proceeds to purchase firearms, drugs, or fund music videos used for gang promotion. Victims were frequently robbed at gunpoint for their vehicles, phones, or cash. In one case, a teenager was beaten, stripped, and robbed at gunpoint by 56 gang members who later posted about the incident online. In another, drug-rich members carjacked a delivery driver, using the vehicle later in a retaliatory drive-by. The indictment details dozens of robberies, each one marked by escalating brutality and brazen disregard for law enforcement presence. Drug RICs, in particular, operated as a street-level drug trafficking operation, distributing drugs. The gang used apartments, trap houses, and Airbnbs as storage and distribution hubs. Members often sold drugs directly to users, but also relied on middlemen and social media to move product. Proceeds were used to bail out arrested members, purchase firearms, and sustain gang operations. Surveillance and confidential informants revealed drug rich's role in the Atlanta area pill trade, especially targeting young adults and high school students with fake Percocets and Xanax laced with fentanyl, creating both street clout and deadly consequences. As law enforcement pressure increased, gang members turned to intimidation tactics to silence potential witnesses. This included threatening known informants, sending coded messages online, and harassing families of cooperating individuals. In some cases, retaliation occurred swiftly after someone posted about cooperating with police. Several defendants were caught on jail calls discussing whether certain individuals could be trusted or should be handled. These actions directly led to enhanced charges of witness tampering and terroristic threats, a growing concern for prosecutors trying to bring these cases to trial. In May 2015, law enforcement launched one of the most significant gang busts in Gwinnett County history, Operation Gran Familia. This multi-agency operation uncovered a highly structured Latino gang alliance operating under the name Gran Familia. Far from being a single gang, Gran Familia functioned as a powerful umbrella organization uniting several violent sets, including the Latin Kings, Brown Side Locos, Malditos 13, and Pachucos 21. These gangs shared resources, territory, weapons, and drug networks while retaining their own identities under Gran Familia's broader command. The network operated with military-like discipline. Over a nearly 2-year investigation, authorities uncovered drug trafficking, illegal gun sales, money laundering, and violent crimes. Members had taken over entire apartment complexes, using threats and fear to silence residents. These strongholds served as distribution hubs, often arranged through coded messages on social media. The operation reached its climax on May 20, 2015, when police executed 38 state and 22 federal arrest warrants across Gwinnett and neighboring counties. 13 suspects were taken into custody, while 5 high-ranking members remained on the run. According to authorities, what made Gran Familia especially dangerous was its structure. It wasn't just a street gang, it was a criminal syndicate. Members held defined ranks, from recruiters and drug runners to enforcers and soldiers tasked with carrying out violent retaliation. Some even had dual affiliations with national gangs like the Serenos and Latin Kings, increasing their influence across Georgia. In late 2011, Gwinnett County authorities wrapped up a major gang bust following an intensive 8-month investigation targeting a local branch of the Gangster Disciples, a nationally recognized gang originally founded in Chicago. The gang had transformed an apartment complex on Castor Drive into a criminal hub, using it as a base for drug activity, intimidation, and organized crime. Residents reported being surveilled by gang lookouts and were often threatened if they attempted to speak out. One detective recalled chilling warnings delivered to neighbors. "If you ever do that again, we're going to rob your house. We're going to shoot you." The multi-agency operation culminated in a massive warrant sweep, resulting in 49 arrests, 248 felony warrants, and 96 felony indictments. Investigators connected 20 of those arrested to at least 16 confirmed burglaries, with suspicion of involvement in over 50 additional break-ins. Among the most serious incidents tied to the group was a June 28 shooting at the Columns at Paxton Lane Apartments in Lilburn. There, alleged members Brandon Mosley and Hunter Davis were charged with deletion and aggravated assault following the fatal shooting of Loganville resident Angelo LaRocca. Another violent encounter took place earlier in April, when gang member Daryl Fuller reportedly aimed a firearm at officers. Police returned fire, deleting Fuller on the scene. As the dust settles on these sweeping indictments and community-shaking arrests,
police say they've dismantled a dangerous street gang in Gwinnett County.
That's right. 2 gang bosses, along with several other more gang members, are behind bars tonight.
Since January, Gwinnett County police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims Blood Street Gang, including 29-year-old Wanawan Wanzan, the alleged leader of the Atlanta branch of the gang, and Marlon Smith, the so-called leader of the gang branch in Virginia and North Carolina.
We believe that they are responsible for several crimes.
In January 2019, the Gwinnett Gang Task Force, which includes detectives and uniformed officers from the Gwinnett County Police Department, as well as deputies from the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, launched an investigation into the 59 Brims Blood Street Gang. The 59 Brims, originally members and resulted in the seizure of significant amounts of illegal drugs. Authorities also recovered 18 firearms, 4 of which had been reported stolen.
Atlanta Falcon is charged in a major human trafficking bust in Gwinnett County. The operation is tied to some of the biggest gangs in the country. A grand jury has charged 8 people, including the ex-player Eric Johnson, with trafficking women for sexual servitude, terrorism, and kidnapping. The list goes on.
Now a former Atlanta Falcon indicted in a major human trafficking bust in Gwinnett County that also has ties to some of the biggest gangs in the country. 11 Alive's John Sherrick has the story.
It is a 96-count indictment issued by a Gwinnett County grand jury charging 8 people, 7 of them shown here, with trafficking women for sexual servitude, terrorism, kidnapping, aggravated assault, gang activity, racketeering. One of the accused, Eric Johnson. Georgia's Attorney General, the prosecutor in this case, calls Johnson one of the 3 leaders of the so-called LOTTO gang, orchestrating violent crimes with the others. Eric Johnson, a former pro football player. He began his NFL career with the Oakland Raiders in 2000 and in Super Bowl 37 in 2003. Johnson, on defense, recovered a block punt and ran for a touchdown. Johnson then played 1 season for the Atlanta Falcons and 1 more for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, just one of the accusations in this indictment against Johnson is that he, along with others in the gang, trafficked an underage teenage girl for sex.
The LOTTO Gang is a hybrid criminal organization based in Gwinnett County, Georgia, with ties to both the Crips and Gangster disciples. In February 2023, 8 alleged members were indicted by a Gwinnett grand jury following a major human trafficking investigation. Among those charged were the gang's alleged president and vice president, Sean Shooter Harvey and Sean Jock Curry. Prosecutors accused the gang of operating a violent criminal enterprise that trafficked 5 victims, including a minor, using physical violence, weapons, and coercion. The charges included human trafficking, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and conspiracy to violate Georgia's RICO Act. In April 2025, both Harvey and Curry pleaded guilty to racketeering charges involving human trafficking and gang activity. 5 other LOTTO members were also convicted on related RICO, trafficking, and weapons charges. Court records revealed disturbing details, including beatings, forced servitude, and intimidation tactics used to silence victims.
Sheriff's office is looking for 3 men wanted in an early morning armed robbery. Deputies say the men robbed the Waffle House on Chambers Road around 5 this morning. According to deputies, the men entered the store waving handguns and demanding money. After they got cash, the men ran behind the building toward Harrison Road. No one was injured during this robbery.
Investigating after 4 masked men, all with guns, robbed a Macon Family Dollar last night. This was the store on Napier Avenue. It happened just before 10 last night. Deputies say the 4 men each had a handgun. They took the cash and ran.
Bibb County grand jurors indicted 6 defendants Tuesday in connection with a series of alleged gang-influenced armed robberies. The indicted individuals face 3 counts each of violating the Georgia RICO Act. The indictment, filed in Bibb County Superior Court, alleges that between September 23 and November 17, 2018, a series of 5 armed robberies occurred at Dollar General and Family Dollar stores in Macon. The incidents took place at Family Dollar on Napier Avenue on September 23rd, at Family Dollar on Jeffersonville Road on October 16th, at Dollar General on Napier Avenue on November 6th, at Family Dollar on Rocky Creek Road on November 13th, and at Dollar General on Napier Avenue on November 17th. An additional armed robbery at a Waffle House on Chambers Road on October 5, 2018 has also been linked to the robbery spree. An investigation by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation led to the arrests and revealed evidence connecting the defendants to the Gangster disciples and Mafia street gangs. It is alleged that the men carried out the robberies to acquire money and other proceeds and to maintain their positions within their respective gangs.
As the Bibb County Sheriff's Office gang unit, investigators and deputies executed a countywide roundup with the help of the Operation Hidden Eye.
Over 30 people arrested as a part of this. Most of these individuals were for violation of probation, gang-related activities, weapons-related activities, some probation violations.
Davis highlighted the arrest of Tyree Welch, one of the 33 suspects caught in the operation. Investigators say getting people like Welch off the street can lead to a better influence with kids.
You can just take one child or one person that's younger than you and turn them around, then you're doing a big impact in the community.
Welch was shown in a social media video enticing a young child to join a gang by teaching him gang signs, slang, and how to fight.
Taking a closer look at the records, of the 33 arrested, 19 violated probation. 7 had various charges like shoplifting, aggravated assault, and trespassing. 6 had outstanding warrants or holds from other agencies, and only 1 was charged with street gang activity.
It has had a result for the first 10 months of this year in a significant marked reduction in crime throughout the community.
During Operation Hidden Eye, more than 30 individuals were arrested by the Bibb County Sheriff's Office between October 2019 and last week. Bibb Sheriff David Davis held a news conference during which he explained that most of the arrestees were wanted for probation violations, had outstanding warrants in other counties, or faced charges related to guns and gangs. Sheriff Davis also highlighted the arrest of Tyree Welch, one of the 33 people apprehended during the operation, as representative of the broader criminal behavior being targeted. According to Bibb County jail records, Welch was arrested on November 3rd on charges including probation violation, criminal street gang activity, terroristic threats and acts, theft by taking, battery family violence, and criminal damage to property. He is being held without bond. Davis pointed out that Welch's case exemplifies the range of crimes committed by those arrested, underscored by a disturbing video in which Welch was seen allegedly enticing a 5 or 6-year-old child to join a gang by teaching gang signs and slang and encouraging the child to engage in fights.
Tonight at 5:30, turning to several arrests made by multiple law enforcement agencies in Operation Clean House. Jawarren Balcom, Charles Balthrop, Tyreek Carswell, George Dawson, Sylvester Duggar Jr., DeMartez Little, and Santez Maddox face a variety of charges, mostly related to burglary and robbery. These men are in custody at the Bibb County Law Enforcement Center and currently do not have bond.
The Bibb County Sheriff's Office recently announced the arrest of several individuals following the launch of Operation Clean House. According to a press release issued on Thursday, 4 teams were deployed to execute targeted arrest warrants aimed at apprehending the top gang members associated with the Department of Community Supervision in Bibb County. During the operation, deputies took 7 suspects into custody, recovered 3 firearms, including one that was reported stolen, and seized several ounces of Mary J. along with grams of that white. The entire operation was carried out without incident.
2 are dead and 4 are in the hospital after a shooting in Macon early this morning. It happened around 2 a.m. at Wings Cafe on Bloomfield Drive. According to a news release, a fight broke out at a club, and then during the fight, 2 people were fatally shot.
Last Friday, 2 people died in that shooting at Wings Cafe on Bloomfield Drive. A fight broke out around 2 a.m. and several people fired shots. 25-year-old Corey Hollingshed and 34-year-old George Henley. 4 others, including Foster and Patterson, were injured. Investigators believe the 2 victims who died were innocent bystanders. Breaking news. Bibb Sheriff's gang investigators arrested 29-year-old Marquez Patterson in Macon. Deputies believe Patterson is tied to last Friday's shooting at Wings Cafe that left 2 people. Patterson is charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of participating in criminal street gang activity, and 5 counts of aggravated assault. 2 more suspects allegedly involved in the Wings Cafe fatal shooting last week made their first appearance in court this afternoon. Jaquez Foster and Vertus Wall were arrested yesterday. Wall is charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of criminal street gang activity. He told the judge he didn't understand why the street gang had filed charges against him. Foster is charged with 2 counts of and aggravated assault. You can see some of the injuries there from last week's shooting.
On December 12, 2014, a tragic shooting at Wings Cafe in Macon, Georgia, sent shockwaves through the community as escalating tensions between rival gangs turned a routine night out into a deadly confrontation. That evening, the cafe was filled with patrons enjoying a typical Friday night when an altercation between members of the Gangster disciples and the Crips quickly escalated. What began as verbal exchanges soon devolved into a physical fight, and despite efforts by security to intervene, the situation spiraled out of control when individuals left the building to retrieve firearms. Within moments, the confrontation erupted into a full-blown shootout inside the crowded venue, resulting in 3 deaths and 3 injuries as panicked patrons scrambled for cover. Investigations later revealed that the shooting was rooted in an ongoing feud between the 2 rival gangs. According to Sheriff David Davis, the incident began with heated arguments that escalated into physical violence, culminating in the exchange of gunfire once firearms were brought into the mix. This violent clash underscored the dangerous influence of gang rivalries in the area and the extent to which these conflicts can disrupt and endanger everyday life. In the aftermath of the shooting, several individuals faced legal charges related to the incident. The impact of the shooting extended beyond the immediate loss of life, prompting widespread discussions about the safety of local establishments and the adequacy of security measures. In response to the tragedy, the widow of one victim filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Wings Cafe and its owner, alleging negligence in providing sufficient security, a lawsuit that was settled confidentially in 2015.
At around 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office responded to calls of shots fired near the shop. Danny Causey was pronounced at the scene, and another man, Terry Warren, was taken to the hospital and treated for gunshot wounds. People posting concerns to the 13 WMAZ Facebook page saying things like they're not surprised about any dead bodies, or that they wouldn't come near downtown without a tank, posting memes about wearing bulletproof vests. Lieutenant Sean Defoe with the Bibb County Sheriff's Office says that the shooting that happened here on Sunday morning marks the 37th in Bibb County so far this year, but the first one in downtown Macon.
Deputies found Ann Leonard shot to in her kitchen. After forcing entry into her home, deputies were called to her Vining Circle home for a welfare check. Bibb County Deputy Coroner Lonnie Miley pronounced Leonard around 8:25 this evening. Sergeant Clay Williams says a bullet came through the window in the back of Leonard's home, hitting her somewhere on her body. Leonard's body was discovered a street away from where deputies responded to a fatal shooting overnight. Now police are investigating if those 2 shootings are related. Around 2:30 this morning, deputies responded to a shooting on Mason Street. Bibb County deputies say someone shot Marlon Williams. His body was found in the road with a gunshot wound to the chest.
Standing outside of the Jafari Food Court on Anthony Road,
right where Marlon Williams was shot and killed inside back in April. District Attorney David Cook says he believes that that murder is connected to the illegal use of gambling machines inside the store.
Marlon Williams was inside the Jafari Food Court on Anthony Road, April 14th, 2018, when a robber came in. Williams was fatally shot as he ran away.
District Attorney David Cook says that murder is an example of how illegal gambling at stores like this breeds crime.
4 men were indicted Tuesday in connection with multiple. Jeffrey Hunter Jr., 26, Kalen Devin Johnson, 24, and Jadarius Trianta Meadows Jr., 22, all residents of Macon, are charged with malice deletion, felony deletion, and 2 counts of aggravated assault in relation to the early morning shooting on December 16, 2018. That incident resulted in the fatal shooting of 33-year-old Danny Causey and the wounding of another man behind Raffield Tire Master on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in downtown Macon. In addition, Johnson and Meadows face 3 extra counts of aggravated assault for allegedly firing shots at 3 other individuals, while Hunter is charged with 4 counts of violating Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act, and both Johnson and Meadows are charged with 6 counts under the Gang Act. In another indictment, Johnson and 24-year-old Devante Ligerian Lundy have been charged with offenses stemming from an April 14, 2018 incident at Jaffrey's Food Court on Anthony Road. They face 1 count of malice deletion, 4 counts of felony deletion, 1 count of armed robbery, 2 counts of aggravated assault, and 8 counts of violating the Gang Act.
Public service announcement right here, straight to the point.
Only Channel 2 was there as the FBI raided a Marietta apartment complex as they picked up 30 of 32 alleged gang members. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the Gangster disciples used charitable organizations as fronts for their illegal activity. And according to the indictment, Vancito Gums bragged that he was a hitman for the organization.
Former officer Vancito Gums, he worked as a self-professed hitman for the gang while serving on the DeKalb County Police Force. All 5 men were convicted on charges including racketeering. Deputies in Cherokee County say they've arrested a member of the Gangster Disciples street gang. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office tells us Hayden Shaw is accused of firing a gun at a gas station.
The state of Georgia has long been grappling with the widespread presence of the Gangster Disciples, one of the most notorious and dangerous gangs in the region. With roots in Chicago dating back to the 1960s, the Gangster Disciples have evolved into a national criminal organization with chapters operating across numerous states, including Georgia. Their decentralized structure, violent criminal activities, and deep infiltration into communities and correctional facilities have made them a formidable challenge for law enforcement. This report delves into the history, influence, and ongoing battle to dismantle the gang's grip on Metro Atlanta and beyond, highlighting recent incidents and law enforcement efforts. The challenge of dismantling the Gangster Disciples in Metro Atlanta lies in their decentralized presence across various counties, each with its own independent chapter rather than a centralized leadership hierarchy. This structure makes it difficult for law enforcement to target the state's largest gang effectively, according to experts. There's no single solution to the gang problem we're facing, admitted Evans, a law enforcement official involved in the efforts. It's a multi-layered issue. The Gangster Disciples are an extremely violent gang, and while we're working hard to dismantle them, they're deeply embedded in the community. The Gangster Disciples were formed in Chicago in the late 1960s following the merger of 2 gangs, the Black Disciples and the Supreme Gangsters. Their influence soon spread to Georgia, where the FBI has monitored their activities for decades. Authorities have described the gang as a violent, sprawling criminal organization that even recruits law enforcement officers to aid in their illicit activities. According to numerous indictments, the gang now operates in 24 states. A major takedown of the Gangster Disciples made national headlines in the summer of 2016, following a surge of violent crimes that shook Atlanta. At that time, DeKalb County District Attorney Robert James referred to their criminal activities as a reign of terror, emphasizing the serious threat the gang posed to the city. They are violent and terrifying. They are organized and determined.
service announcement right here, straight to the point. This straight at Rick Ross, the whole Maybach music. Talk. The whole public service announcement is about this. Look, first of all, let me get it straight. Larry Hoover don't have nothing to do with this, so for y'all take the tape back and try to put LJ and his daddy in it, they don't have nothing to do with this right here. This G's coming from all over talking about this right here. Hey Rick, straight up, you know what you did first time we gave you a pass on the Larry Hoover Big Meat song. You was supposed to took care of some business you didn't take care of. You know who you need to tune in to. Now, you don't really disrespected the organization by putting your face on. You gonna put your star on your face in this star right here.
Rick Ross made waves with one of his most infamous shout-outs to Larry Hoover, the founder of the Gangster Disciples, in his 2010 hit single, Blowing Money Fast. However, according to court documents, this mention reportedly cost Ross a hefty sum. Gangster Disciples member Marco White testified that Rick Ross paid $3 million to the gang following alleged threats made against him for invoking Hoover's name without permission. During his testimony in a separate case, White explained that Ross initially faced a demand of $6 million, but managed to negotiate the payment down to $3 million. From my understanding, Rick Ross ended up paying like $3 million, White said. The initial payment was supposed to have been $6, but I think they worked it out to like $3. After the release of BMF, tensions arose between Rick Ross and the Gangster Disciples, who were reportedly unhappy with the rapper's unauthorized use of their leader's name. The extortion claims surfaced publicly during a 2016 indictment. Larry Hoover, the Chicago-born founder of the Gangster Disciples, is currently serving 6 life sentences at the ADX Florence Supermax prison in Colorado for crimes including conspiracy, extortion, money laundering, and operating a criminal enterprise.
Since 5 o'clock, we have new video showing one of 32 suspected gang members arrested across the metro area.
Keep my head up and stay strong.
A former DeKalb County police officer was also arrested in the raids today. Channel 2's
photo of now former DeKalb County police officer Vancito Gumbs now facing charges of being part of a vast criminal conspiracy involving the notorious street gang, the Gangster Disciples.
I was saddened and disappointed to find out that one of our former officers was one of the members that was indicted.
Resigned last October after investigators say he lied to them about his involvement in using some illegal drugs. Only Channel 2 was there as the FBI raided a Marietta apartment complex as they picked up 30 of 32 alleged gang members. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the Gangster Disciples used charitable organizations as fronts for their illegal activity. And according to the indictment, Vancito Gumbs bragged that he was a hitman for the organization.
U.S. Attorney Kurt Erskine says members of the Gangster Disciples terrorized this community for decades.
Incredibly well organized gang with leadership and a hierarchy and rules of engagement.
The gang was started in the 60s in Chicago and has members in at least 25 states. The FBI worked with the U.S. Attorney's Office to bring down 38 members in leadership here in Atlanta.
Federal agents have arrested multiple members and associates of the Gangster Disciples, a notorious national gang, following RICO charges from an indictment issued by a federal grand jury on April 27, 2016. Additional arrests were made in Memphis, Tennessee, tied to a separate indictment involving Gangster Disciples members. Historically, Atlanta has resisted the influence of national gangs, but this indictment shows how that has changed, said U.S. Attorney. The Gangster Disciples are now among several gangs with a significant presence in the area. This case illustrates how a national gang can create chaos both locally and across the country, committing crimes ranging from deletion to drug trafficking and credit card fraud. This indictment sends a clear message that Atlanta is not a safe haven for gang operations. According to U.S. Attorney Horn, the indictment outlines criminal activities dating back to 2009, including deletion, attempted deletion, robbery, extortion, arson, firearms violations, drug trafficking, wire fraud, credit card fraud, and obstruction of justice. These acts were committed to advance the interests of the Gangster Disciples. The Gangster Disciples operate nationwide and are active in roughly 24 states, including Georgia. The gang generates income through a wide range of illegal activities, including drug trafficking, robbery, carjacking, extortion, and various forms of fraud, such as wire, credit card, insurance, and bank fraud. The organization maintains its power through threats, intimidation, and violence, often resorting to murder and assault. They also hold exclusive events for members, including conference calls, celebrations of their founder's birthday, the annual Gangster Ball, and even award ceremonies. The Gangster Disciples maintain a strict hierarchy, with leadership positions such as board members, governors, chief enforcers, and security officers overseeing different regions. To enforce discipline, members who break the gang's rules are often fined, beaten, or even. Indictment also alleges that members of the Gangster Disciples were involved in at least 10 deletions, 12 attempted deletions, 2 robberies, the extortion of rap artists, and fraud schemes that resulted in losses exceeding $450,000. In Georgia, members from cities including Atlanta, Decatur, Stone Mountain, Marietta, Valdosta, Macon, and Cochran were among those indicted. Additional arrests were made in Birmingham, Alabama, Denver, Colorado, Wichita, Kansas, Chicago, Illinois, Detroit, Michigan, Madison, Wisconsin, and San Jose, California.
A DeKalb County police officer convicted of racketeering along with 4 other members of the Gangster Disciples. Federal prosecutors say Vancito Gums would tip off the gang to police activity, and then he bragged about being a hitman while on the police force. He was arrested after resigning from the department. Law enforcement say that the gang has a long history of recruiting officers to help do their dirty work.
The jury finds 5 local gang members, including a former DeKalb County police officer, guilty on all charges. Those men are members of the Gangster Disciples, responsible for 12 murders and other shootings that weren't fatal. As for the former officer, Vancito Gums, he worked as a self-professed hitman for the gang while serving on the DeKalb County police force. All 5 men.
A former DeKalb County police officer and member of the Gangster Disciples has been sentenced to 15 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release for a racketeering conspiracy involving deletion. Vancito Gums, 28, of Stone Mountain, Georgia, was both a police officer and a self-proclaimed hitman for the Gangster Disciples. Evidence presented in court revealed that Gums provided sensitive law enforcement information to the gang and supplied a firearm to another gang member. Gums was photographed displaying a hand sign associated with the Gangster Disciples and admitted to acting as a hitman for the gang, even while serving as a police officer. Federal agents recorded phone conversations in which Gums communicated with the gang's chief enforcer in Georgia, providing confidential law enforcement information and discussing the firearm he gave to another gang member. In later recorded conversations, the chief enforcer boasted that he had Gangster Disciples affiliated police officers at his disposal. The crime spree involving Broxton and Pina, known by their nicknames Lil Joe and Island, began on July 3, 2015, when they attempted to rob Edward Chadman at the Stone Mountain Inn. Tragically, Chadman was fatally shot while trying to defend himself. On July 30, 2015, in the early hours, Broxton, Pina, and other members of the Hate Committee, a Gangster Disciple cleanup set, roamed the Central Drive area, seeking individuals to target based on their orders. They stopped at the Hierston Square apartment complex and called a male to their vehicle. As he approached, Broxton shot him 5 times. However, the victim survived the attack. Later that morning, around 6:22 a.m., Broxton and Pina ambushed Oliver Campbell, who was sleeping in his truck at a gas station on Candler Road. Upon waking to the robbery attempt, Campbell was shot in the neck and leg and passed away at the scene. Later that evening, at approximately 8:50 p.m., as the defendants drove a stolen vehicle near the Windview Apartments, they spotted someone they believed to be a rival gang member. They parked, exited the car, and opened fire, with the suspected rival returning gunfire. A bystander standing by her front door was shot in the leg but survived. In their final act of violence for the day, at around 9:30 p.m., Broxton, Pina, and other gang members opened fire on 2 individuals sitting on the patio of a unit in the Landmark Apartments complex off Bent Tree Loop. Rockwell Nelson was fatally shot, while a female companion sitting next to him was struck 11 times but survived the attack. Broxton received a sentence of 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, in addition to 60 years, while Pina was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole, along with 40 years.
Deputies in Cherokee County say they've arrested a member of the Gangster Disciples street gang. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office tells us Hayden Shaw is accused of firing a gun at a gas station in Ackworth. Investigators say he threatened customers, then followed them outside before firing a gun once. Fortunately, no one was hit. Shaw is charged with street gang terrorism.
A 24-year-old Woodstock man, identified as Hayden Conley Shaw, has been arrested in connection with a shooting incident that occurred on Tuesday morning. Shaw, reportedly a member of the Gangster Disciples street gang, faces multiple charges, including 4 counts of aggravated assault, obstruction of an officer, and violations of the Street Gang Terrorism Act. The Cherokee County Sheriff's Office said the charges are linked to an altercation at a gas station located on Georgia Highway 92 at Way Green Road near Okora. Witnesses reported that Shaw threatened customers before following them outside and discharging a firearm. Following the incident, Shaw fled the scene in a vehicle and was spotted by deputies at a nearby McDonald's approximately 15 minutes later. When approached by law enforcement, Shaw attempted to escape on foot. Deputies later apprehended him hiding outside her residence on Don John Trail. Sheriff Donna Tompkins has identified 4 Muskogee County jail inmates, members of the Gangster disciples, who attacked another inmate on December 13. The victim was booked into the jail on December 4 for a probation violation and driving with a suspended license. Due to his criminal history, Watson was placed in maximum security housing. On the day of the attack, Watson was stabbed with a makeshift knife fashioned from a piece of shower tile. Despite the severity of the attack, Watson was not affiliated with any gang, according to the sheriff's office. The Gangster disciples continue to pose a significant threat to the safety and security of communities across Georgia, with their presence deeply entrenched both inside and outside correctional facilities. As law enforcement agencies intensify their efforts to dismantle the gang structure and criminal operations, the decentralized nature of the organization poses a unique challenge. High-profile arrests, including those of key gang leaders and members, are steps toward weakening their influence. However, the ongoing violent incidents underscore the need for sustained collaborative efforts between federal, state, and local authorities.
Like I said, man, if they was to keep me out of jail and if y'all can help me, man, I promise you, you gonna throw up, murder, man, I can't take any one of them. I'm gonna go right there.
So it may seem like I'm trying to help Doug out. I'm not trying to help him out. I don't care nothing about him, what he got going on, nothing. I care about the truth. The truth was, I was going through a phase in my life, and I have put all the blame on him. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he got going on. But y'all got me on the stand, and I'm telling the God honest truth. Leave me out of this. I made all these stories up, put the blame on him to get myself out of the situation because the police told me they want a big fish, and I'm a little fish. They ain't who I want. So when they told me that, my only motive was to convince them that I'm telling the truth about this guy right here, and I'm lying.
For Echo Hotel and 164 Echo.
You bet. Whoever want to be stupid and come crash out on me, that's on them. You feel me? They just better succeed because they got family and they got people that they care about if I can't get them. I haven't ran into one person that said to my face, I pray that nobody don't provoke me. People need to stop playing with me like I'm somebody to play with. I keep telling them, like, I don't been in them situations where I had to take it there, and I would take it there. And I would not think twice about it. I would go home and sleep peaceful as hell like ain't nothing happened.
Picture this. You're sitting in a Fulton County courtroom. The air conditioning is barely keeping up. It's been over a year since this trial started. The jury has been sitting in their chairs for months. And now, finally, the prosecution star witnessed the man who flipped on young thug and single-handedly gave prosecutors the spine of their entire RICO cases on the stand. He's not cooperating. He's rolling his eyes at the DA. He's spinning in his chair like he's bored out of his mind. He's yelling, "I'm tired of y'all." And then in front of the jury, in front of the gallery, in front of cameras feeding clips straight to social media, he looks the world dead in the face and says, "I made it all up. I put everything on Thug. That man ain't have nothing to do with my stupidity. That man is Kenneth, Lil Woody Copeland." And what he did right there on the witness stand shook the foundation of one of the most watched, most expensive, most controversial criminal trials in American history. This is Atlanta, Georgia. And this is the story of the snitch who unsnitched.
Enthusiasts and or actual gang members are threatening someone they believe is cooperating with the state. And not only that person, but their very small children.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis says discovery in legal terms is material one side turns over to another after an indictment to level the playing field before trial. And in the YSL gang racketeering case in which Jeffrey Williams, better known as the megastar rapper Young Thug, is the best known of more than 24 defendants, the DA's office has discovered a discovery document and part of a cooperating witness's statement made it onto social media. And the life of that witness, a cooperating YSL associate and that witness's children are in jeopardy as a result. Authorities still investigating who leaked the discovery material. A new indictment just last week added new charges against Young Thug and a handful of other defendants in the case. Young Thug's attorney, Brian Steele, and the DA seem to agree the discovery leak is bad. The DA's office says social media comments it shared with us pertain to the improper disclosure of an alleged witness's name. One commenter said, "Big rat and little mice," and another said, "You or your kids ain't safe." Ms. Willis says steps have been taken to protect the alleged witness and the witness's children.
To understand what happened in that courtroom, you need to understand what YSL is and who built it. Young slime life, YSL started on the streets of Atlanta's east side in the early 2010s. It was a crew, a clique, a brotherhood, and at the center of it was Jeffrey Lamar Williams, born in Atlanta in 1991, raised in the Pittsburgh neighborhood on the city's southeast side. One of 11 children, grew up watching the streets take people around him. By his teens, he was deep in it. He called himself Young Thug. By 2013, Young Thug was one of the most distinct voices in hip-hop, a high-pitched, melodic, rule-breaking style that nobody had heard before. By 2016, he was releasing mixtapes and projects that critics were calling masterpieces. Collaborations with everybody from Future to Drake to Camila Cabello, a record label, YSL Records, that turned into a legitimate music industry operation, signing artists like Gunna and Yak Gotti. On paper, a self-made success story out of Atlanta's roughest neighborhoods. But prosecutors had a different story. According to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, YSL wasn't just a rap collective. It was a criminal street gang operating under the umbrella of the National Bloods Organization, engaged in deletion, drug trafficking, armed robbery, and carjacking going back years. They said Young Thug didn't just found a label, he founded a gang. And they said they had the witness to prove it. That witness was Kenneth Lil Woody Copeland.
Like I said, man, if they were to keep me out of jail and y'all can help me, man, I promise you, you gonna throw up, murder, man. I can't say any one of them. I'm gonna go right there and do what I do.
Hear a conversation, I can FaceTime them.
Well, he knows you're in custody. You can't FaceTime him. He gotta know what's up.
Okay. Right now, if you go sit the police up there in front of your club, they're not gonna do it.
Hello?
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 Hey, I'm at the headquarters.
You're gonna get your money here for what it is.
Thank you.
And then,
Well, they gave me my money. They gave me my money, I would've,
Okay, wait, there's more than a certain amount, they're not gonna let you keep it at the jail? They might let you keep all that money in the jail.
No, I'm not. I'm not, sending it up. I can even tell y'all what I have done. I never have, I shot 2 people.
Well, that's, okay, let me.
No, I know this, I'm just saying, those are 2 of my friends. I ain't did nothing to nobody. Nobody did. None of that. People saying outside.
2021. Kenneth Copeland, known in Atlanta circles as Lil Woody, gets pulled over in a routine traffic stop. The kind of stop that happens 1,000 times a day in this city. Except this time, police find a weapon in the car, and Copeland is a convicted felon. Under federal law, a convicted felon in possession of a firearm is a mandatory federal beef. He's looking at 10 years minimum, maybe more. His life as he knew it was essentially over unless he figured something out fast. So he made the phone call. He became an informant. What prosecutors didn't advertise at the time, what would only come out fully during the trial itself, is that Lil Woody had actually been talking to Atlanta police detectives since 2015, years before his own arrest. Somewhere around the time of the 2015 deletion connected to the YSL orbit, Lil Woody sat down for recorded interviews and gave investigators detailed accounts of crimes he claimed were committed by Young Thug and his associates. He talked about shootings. He talked about drug operations. He gave detectives names, dates, and details that sounded credible enough to be built upon. But here's what nobody outside those interrogation rooms knew yet. According to Lil Woody himself, He made a significant portion of it up. He was using those interviews as a survival mechanism, feeding investigators stories to keep the heat off himself. And in 2021, when he got jammed up again, that same playbook came back out. He got an immunity deal. His weapon charges disappeared. In exchange, full cooperation with the YSL RICO investigation.
This is video from court of Young Thug in a blue jumpsuit. The rapper and 28 other defendants charged in a 56-count indictment alleging street gang activity, including robbery and murder.
Hip-hop superstar and Atlanta native Young Thug making an appearance in a Fulton County courtroom Tuesday. His first appearance in front of a judge comes less than 24 hours after authorities raided the rapper's Buckhead home. Channel 2 was the only station there Monday as investigators arrested the 30-year-old. Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, is one of 28 defendants charged in a sweeping 56-count indictment against the criminal street gang Young Slime Life, also known as YSL. The charges ranging from conspiracy to violate the Georgia criminal racketing law, murder, armed robbery, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, also named Sergio Kitchens, who performs under the name Gunna. As of Tuesday afternoon, the rap star had not yet surrendered to authorities.
My number one focus is targeting gangs, and there's a reason for that. They are committing conservatively 75 to 80% of all of the violent crime that we are seeing within our community.
According to the indictment, YSL is a criminal street gang started in late 2012 in the Cleveland Avenue area of Atlanta. Prosecutors say Young Thug is a co-founder, and he and his affiliates have played a role in some of the city's most violent crimes.
Me and the mayor and the police chief have talked about the fact that Cleveland in our community is referred to as Bleveland.
Also named in the indictment is Jimmy Carlton Winfrey. He's serving a 20-year prison sentence after pleading guilty to firing shots at rapper Lil Wayne's tour buses as they traveled on I-285 in April of 2015.
Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie told you the indictment describes a criminal gang called YSL, which stands for Young Slime Life. Mark reported that the indictment alleges Young Thug is one of 3 YSL founders. Prosecutors also told Channel 2 one of the defendants named in the indictment is this man, Christian Eppinger. He's the same man accused of shooting Atlanta police officer David Rogers 6 times in February.
May 9, 2022. Young Thug was at a friend's house in Buckhead when police showed up and arrested him on a 56-count RICO indictment, one of the largest gang prosecutions in Georgia state history. 27 co-defendants were swept up with him. The charges included conspiracy to violate Georgia's RICO Act, criminal street gang activity, drug trafficking, multiple deletions, armed robbery, and weapons charges. Among those counts, allegations that Young Thug possessed an illegal machine gun, a MAC-10, and other firearms despite his felon status. Co-defendant Gunna Sergio Kitchens was arrested days later. He would eventually take a plea deal and be released before the main trial began. Others caught up in the indictment included Delmonte Kendrick, known as Yak Gotti, Shannon Stillwell, and dozens of other alleged YSL members. Prosecutors framed this as one of the most significant gang prosecutions in Atlanta history. Fulton County D. Fannie Willis, who would later become famous for a separate high-profile RICO case, personally oversaw the filing. The theory: YSL is a criminal enterprise. Young Thug is its leader, and years of violence and drug trafficking in Atlanta's communities. They pointed to rap lyrics as evidence of gang affiliation, argued that songs glorified real murder and real crimes, and at the foundation of their case, Kenneth Copeland's testimony, his recorded interviews from 2015, his claimed first-hand knowledge of YSL's criminal operations.
YSL's founders were Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, a.k.a. Slime.
Rapper Young Thug was front and center today for the start of jury selection in the Young Slime Life RICO trial. 14 defendants facing trial listened this afternoon as their indictment was read aloud to 200 potential jurors. The defendants maintain YSL is simply a record label and allege prosecutors are targeting them for their lyrics, which often describe violence in the Cleveland Avenue neighborhood. The judge reading to the potential jurors the criminal charges the defendants face. They began with a bit of a hitch. Because of the size of the jury pool and the number of defendants, the courtroom could not accommodate the large group.
Also today, jury selection
selection continues in the YSL RICO trial. We just checked in to get a progress report as this process now enters its 4th month.
Started pretty quickly as far as the pretrial aspect, but now this jury selection has, I think, now been the longest in Georgia history already, and I don't know if we're halfway done or not.
So far this year, hundreds of potential jurors have been questioned, but selection could still last through the summer.
Here's where you start to understand just how unprecedented this case was. Jury selection began in January 2023. It didn't end until November 2023. 10 months. 10 months just to see the jury. It was the longest jury selection in Georgia state history, and one of the longest in American history for a state criminal case. Why? Because the case was enormous. The potential jurors numbered in the thousands, many disqualified because they'd followed YSL music closely, or had opinions about Young Thug, or had heard coverage of the arrest. Attorneys on both sides, a defense team that at various points included some of Atlanta's top criminal defense lawyers, led by Brian Steele, questioned potential jurors exhaustively. The mere mention of rap lyrics as evidence triggered hardship claims. Some jurors cited fear of retaliation just for being associated with the case. 11 Alive's continuing coverage documented the slow march through jury selection and the early trial proceedings. By the time opening statements began on November 27, 2023, people had already forgotten the trial had started because the trial hadn't technically started yet. The Crime Network captured the gravity of those opening moments, but now it had. And Atlanta held its breath.
This morning, there are new motions in the YSL RICO trial from both the prosecution and defense. The trial is set to pick back up with the 3rd judge. Attorneys are now requesting bond for the trial's main defendant, rapper Young Thug. He has been in custody since 2022. Meanwhile, prosecutors are asking to limit defense attorneys' comments to the media.
While the world watched the procedural saga unfold in court, Young Thug was sitting in Fulton County Jail. He'd been denied bond repeatedly. Prosecutors argued he was a flight risk and a danger to the community as the alleged leader of a violent criminal organization. His attorneys argued the opposite, that he was a musical artist with no history of flight, deep community ties, and that the case against him was built on fabricated testimony. Young Thug spent over 2 years in pretrial detention. No house arrest, no ankle monitor, just a jail cell in Fulton County. His legal team filed motion after motion. His family spoke to press. Fans held rallies. The Free Thug campaign became a cultural movement, with artists across the industry publicly backing him. Inside the jail, his conditions became a point of legal dispute, his defense team arguing at various points that he wasn't being given adequate access to his attorneys, that his mental and physical health were deteriorating, that the state was using pretrial detention as a coercive tool. It was 2 years of pressure, 2 years before a single piece of testimony had even been heard. Now we get to the part that blew everything up. June 2024. After months of testimony from other witnesses, it was finally time for the prosecution's star witness to take the stand. Kenneth Lil Woody Copeland. He said no, just flatly refused to testify. Whatever deal he'd made, whatever immunity arrangement was in place, he was done. He wasn't getting up there. Judge Earl Glanville, Fulton County Superior Court Chief Judge, the man who'd been presiding over this marathon proceeding, had heard enough. On June 7, 2024, he held Copeland in contempt of court and had him taken to jail. The moment captured on camera showed exactly what that refusal looked like.
How did you get that information supposedly from my chambers?
A trial that's seen plenty of twists.
Mr. Steele, I am going to hold you under, still hold you in summary criminal contempt.
Takes another turn when the man holding the gavel, Judge Earl Glanville, is ordered to recuse himself from the YSL trial by Fulton County Superior Court Judge Rachel Krause. It comes after the defense team filed a motion to have the judge removed, pointing to a meeting Judge Glanville had with the prosecution and a key witness without the defense present. Judge Krause ruled the recusal was necessary to preserve public confidence in the judicial system. Defense attorneys involved in the case have been pushing for this moment.
It's safe to say.
And the lawyer for rapper Young Thug in the ongoing YSL RICO trial no longer facing a contempt charge.
The state Supreme Court officially reversed a decision from the former judge overseeing this trial. And that decision was made by Judge Ural Glanville after Brian Steele here, refused to disclose how he found out about an ex parte meeting. The controversial meeting included the judge, the state, and a key witness, but the defense was not made aware of it prior to the meeting. Steele was held in contempt, arrested, and ordered to serve 20 days in the Fulton County Jail.
3 days later, something happened that would become the central controversy of the entire trial. Judge Glanville arranged a private meeting. In that meeting, the judge himself, Chief Deputy District Attorney Adrian Love, and Deputy District Attorney Simone Hilton, and the witness, Lil Woody. No defense attorneys. No court reporter initially making a public record. An ex-parte meeting, meaning one side of the case met with the witness entirely outside the presence of the other side. According to Brian Steele, who represented Young Thug, what happened in that room was coercive and improper. Prosecutors and the judge, the man supposed to be a neutral arbiter, told Lil Woody that if he continued refusing to testify, he would remain behind bars until the entire RICO case was fully resolved. That could mean years. Given that the trial had already been going for the better part of a year and showed no signs of ending soon, this was not a small threat. It was, Steele argued, a pressure campaign conducted in secret, without the defense present, to force a witness to cooperate, a fundamental violation of due process. When Steele found out about the meeting through means he refused to disclose, even when directly ordered to by the court, he filed an immediate motion to remove Glanville from the case. Glanville, for his part, attempted to defend his own actions rather than simply recuse. He argued publicly that the meeting was proper, that it was merely informing the witness of the consequences of contempt. That defense failed. On June 12, 2024, just 2 days after the secret meeting became known, Judge Glanville was removed from the case. He was officially recused on July 15th. Brian Steele was himself held in contempt for refusing to reveal the source of his information about the ex-parte meeting, a contempt citation Steele wore as a badge of honor, framing it as a constitutional stand on attorney-client and journalistic source protections. Paige Reese Whitaker was assigned to pick up the pieces. The jury came back on August 12, 2024. The judge instructed them to disregard certain testimony from around June 12th, and Copeland finally took the stand.
I'm here to tell the truth or to remember my lies.
I want you to tell the truth.
But you keep going to my lies, though.
Back in 2015, did you tell Detective Thornton this was a lie?
Listen, when they get me, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to tell them whatever I can to finesse my way out of whatever situation that I'm in.
And it's only now in 2024 that you're saying that everything you said in 2015 is a lie. Is that correct?
Because I went to the feds. Y'all didn't let me out of jail till, 4 years later? So if I was telling the truth then, why it took y'all so many years to try to say, okay, he was being honest or whatever the case is? If I was telling the truth, y'all would have made any case back then. Y'all knew I was lying. Y'all put me in jail. I go do my time. I get out of jail, try to get my life together. Y'all trying to drag me back into the lies that I done made. I'm tired.
Good morning, School.
Good morning.
You have permission to approach?
No.
She was asking me that, Mr. Copeland, okay? All right.
Okay.
Counsels, you want to...
So the number is not broadcast, and I'm going to move it to 31258.
Oh! All right.
Oh, y'all still going?
All right, let's stop for the day then. All right.
Can I go?
Yes, be back here at 9 in the morning.
I don't get no sleep, Jerry. Can I come like at 10, 11?
Sorry.
Ask me, I'm gonna agree to that. I'm gonna say whatever she asked me. If she asked me about this reporter right here, I'm gonna say, yep, she's sitting outside me with white tennis shoes on. I'm gonna say something. Just because I want her to believe I'm telling her the truth, that I want her to get me out of jail.
Well, she has on white tennis shoes, don't she?
Don't you got on white tennis shoes? She got on Chucks.
Right, and they white, right?
What color your shoes is? Okay. She got on Chucks.
So you telling the truth?
What color your shoes is? She said they white.
Right, so you're telling the truth then.
Well, it depends. See, you pick what you want to tell them. If I tell the police the alphabet is A, B, C, D, right? The police gonna tell me what come out the D. E come out the D, I think. A, B, C, D, E. Man, I don't know, man. I'm not about to go through all that.
When they're like, all right, we're calling Kenneth Copeland, are you going to say, okay, ask me what you want to ask me. I'll tell you whatever I'm going to tell you. Or are you going to say, nope, I don't care if you throw me in jail. I'm not saying a word. I am not getting on the stand.
It depends on how I wake up.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will just revisit it on Monday morning.
Because it sounds funny. And it,
Okay. Do you need me to repeat my question?
you said, did Mr. Williams tell me to get...
No, excuse me. Let me rephrase. The gun from the Dunbar Center, to your knowledge, did tell Little D to get that gun from you?
From me?
Yes.
He don't know. No, I don't know. No.
Your answer is no?
Huh?
Your answer is no.
What happened over the next 16 days of testimony, stretched across nearly 3 months of court dates, was unlike anything most trial watchers had ever seen. Law and Crime Network documented the most dramatic moments, but the locals 11 Alive Atlanta, the news station that had been covering Young Thug since his initial arrest, were there for the key moments of Copeland's testimony. When he took the stand on May 29th, they captured the opening moments, and when he delivered his explosive recantation just days later, on May 30th, Copeland didn't just refuse to cooperate. He went further. He sat on the stand and, piece by piece, dismantled every statement he had ever given to law enforcement. He told the jury that the information he provided in 2015 was not reliable, that he was not simply a flawed witness with an imperfect memory. He was someone who had consciously, deliberately lied to investigators to protect himself. I was trying to tell them anything to get them off of me, he said. I made it all up. He explained the logic of his informant strategy openly and without shame. Atlanta police had been watching him, squeezing him, making his life difficult. He needed relief, so he gave them what they wanted: stories about YSL, stories about Young Thug, stories about crimes and violence that he attributed to people he said were responsible. The thing is, he knew they weren't responsible. He said so explicitly on the stand. The police were constantly targeting me, Copeland testified. So, to shift their focus, I started claiming, Thug did this, Thug did that, despite knowing these were false accusations. So what I did was, to get them off me, I said, Thug did this, Thug did that, because I knew he didn't do it. And then came the Lil Mike and Quez revelation. During his 2015 interviews, Lil Woody had told detectives about 2 individuals, men named Lil Mike and Quez, who he claimed had been involved in specific crimes related to YSL. Investigators had taken these names as leads. For years, these 2 figures had been treated as real people in the context of the investigation. They didn't exist. Lil Woody admitted on the stand under oath to the jury that he had entirely fabricated both Lil Mike and Quez. They were fictional characters he invented on the spot during interrogations to deflect blame away from himself. He created them, named them, gave them criminal histories, and watched investigators chase ghosts while he walked out of that interview room. Defense attorney Max Sharp walked him through it directly. Lil Woody confirmed it. He made them up. The prosecution was left holding years of investigation built partly on a lie. Copeland also turned his contempt outward. He said he believed prosecutors had leaked his original 2015 interrogation video to social media, a leak that he claimed exposed him on the streets, damaged his reputation, and put his family in physical danger. He said he felt trapped from every direction. Prosecutors wanted his testimony. The streets wanted him silent, and neither side cared what happened to him personally. I'm sitting right here telling y'all the truth. he told the jury. "I made it all up. I put everything on Thug. That man ain't have nothing to do with my stupidity." He characterized the detective who had conducted his 2015 interviews as having a brain the size of a squirrel brain, meaning he found it easy to feed the investigator false information. He described the process of manipulating detectives as finessing the police. He seemed almost proud of how long he'd gotten away with it, and equally unbothered about saying so in open court.
I'm in jail.
What is 372?
Numbers.
Why did you shrug your shoulder?
Cut in my shoulders.
Do you have hair on your head when you take this picture?
What you
When
trying?
you took the picture.
It looked like I got hair on my head.
Okay. How long ago have you been bald? Right. Do you have children?
You know that.
Okay. I do, but the jury doesn't. Do you have children?
Yep.
All right. How many?
More than one.
All right. Do you have more than 3?
I might. Ain't no telling.
Okay. And when you say cool, what do you mean?
COOL.
I didn't ask you to spell it. I asked you what you mean.
The footage from that courtroom spread fast. FOX5 Atlanta had been tracking the legal machinery behind the scenes as well, documenting the attorneys' strategy and the defense's successful petition to the Georgia Supreme Court. Clips of Lil Woody rolling his eyes at prosecutors' heavy, deliberate, theatrical eye rolls while Assistant Diaz asked him questions circulated on social media within hours of the testimony. Clips of him spinning in the witness chair. Clips of him mid-rant, voice raised. "I'm tired of y'all." Clips of him deadpan delivering lines about squirrel brains and police finessing. Law and crime trials captured the full scope of the courtroom drama. Hip-hop Twitter and Instagram went into overdrive. The snitch who unsnitched narrative became a trending topic. Commentary from rappers, legal analysts, cultural critics, and regular people who'd followed the case for years flooded every platform. The clips hit millions of views. Lil Woody, a man most people outside Atlanta had never heard of before this trial, became one of the most discussed figures in the courtroom drama of 2024. His family, according to reports, was caught in the middle. His children, his relatives, people who had nothing to do with YSL or the trial, were suddenly visible in a way they hadn't chosen. Lil Woody's claims about the leaked interrogation video took on more weight in this context. He wasn't just talking about abstract street credibility. He was talking about the real-world consequences for people close to him of being identified as a government informant who had now publicly recanted.
I find myself in a lot of stuff because I was just nice or cool, you know, and I understand that you can't be that way when you reach a certain height because it could end bad. And it don't really have to have nothing to do with you, but it could end bad and it could, you know, fall on you. And I know the choice is yours, it's up to you. And I hope that you allow me to go home today and just trust in me to just do the right thing and never see you again unless it's at a, you know, bar in the future or something. Just out of this type of situation, I promise you I won't ever be in this type of situation again. I'm going away. I've learned from my mistakes. You know, I come from nothing and I've made something and I didn't take full advantage of it. I'm sorry.
October 31st, 2024. Halloween. After 2 years and roughly 5 months in custody, after one of the most turbulent, drawn out, and legally complicated trials in Georgia history, Jeffrey Young Thug Williams stood before Judge Paige Reese Whitaker and entered his pleas. 6 charges, 1 count of conspiracy to violate the Georgia RICO Act, 3 drug charges, 2 gun charges, plus a no contest plea to leading a criminal street gang and violating the state's RICO statute. His sentencing: 40 years with all but time served suspended, 15 years of probation, a 10-year ban from the greater Atlanta metropolitan area, No prison time beyond what he had already served. He walked out of Fulton County Jail the same night. His supporters had gathered outside. When he emerged, it was the kind of scene that rarely happens in a case that started with a 56-count RICO indictment. The prosecution called it accountability. He did plead guilty. After all, his defense team called it a recognition of what the case had become. The streets, by and large, called it a win. Whether it was a vindication or a strategic concession depends on who you ask. But the reality was clear. A man the government had charged with leading a violent criminal organization walked out of jail on the same night he entered his pleas, with time served, after more than 2 years of pretrial detention. What the YSL trial exposed wasn't just one man's decision to flip and then unflip. It was a systemic indictment of how RICO prosecutions get built in the first place. Prosecutors spent years and millions of dollars constructing a case that rested significantly on the word of a man who had been telling them what they wanted to hear since 2015. Lil Woody wasn't a witness who got cold feet at the last minute. He was someone who had been actively misleading investigators for the better part of a decade, fabricating people, fabricating events, pointing blame at a man he said he knew wasn't responsible, and getting paid in freedom for doing it. The question the YSL trial left hanging over Atlanta's justice system: how many other RICO cases are built the same way? How many other cooperating witnesses are giving investigators stories shaped more by self-preservation than by truth? How many fictional Lil Mikes and Quezes are sitting in case files right now, treated as real leads? The trial also became a national flashpoint for the debate over using rap lyrics as criminal evidence. Prosecutors argued that Young Thug's songs were admissions of guilt, evidence of real crimes encoded in verse. Defense attorneys and civil liberties advocates argued it was a constitutional crisis, that treating artistic expression as criminal confession was a direct threat to free speech, and specifically to Black artists whose music draws from street realities. Legal scholars watched it as a dry run for other high-profile RICO prosecutions. Some openly compared the structure of the case to what a potential RICO prosecution of political figures might look like: a massive indictment, dozens of defendants, years of proceedings, and a prosecution theory that ultimately couldn't survive contact with the stand. Atlanta got its answer. Lil Woody told detectives whatever they needed to hear to stay free. He named a man he said he knew was innocent. He invented people who never existed. And when they finally put him under oath, he said so himself, out loud, on camera, to the jury. The streets have always had a name for what he did. Twice. If this case had you locked in, you already know where this channel lives. AllScoopsMedia. We cover the cases the mainstream glosses over, not just the arrests, but the trials, the flips, the courtroom meltdowns, and the outcomes nobody wants to talk about after the cameras leave. Real names, real outcomes, real talk. Subscribe, hit the bell, because next time we're going deeper into how these RICO cases actually get built and what happens when the
Police
foundation...
say they've dismantled a dangerous street gang in Gwinnett County.
That's right. 2 gang bosses, along with several other more gang members, are behind bars tonight.
Since January, Gwinnett County Police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims Blood Street Gang, including 29-year-old Wanawan Wanzon, the alleged leader of the Atlanta branch of the gang, and Marlon Smith, the so-called leader of the gang branch in Virginia and North Carolina.
We believe that they are responsible for several crimes.
In January 2019, the in the seizure of significant amounts of illegal drugs. Authorities also recovered 18 firearms, 4 of which had been reported stolen. Tamario Y's alleged gang armed robbery and carjacking on Rambling Drive. Over the next several weeks, they committed a series of violent crimes in various locations. On October 21, they carried out another armed robbery and carjacking near Reynolds Drive, close to the Lakewood Amphitheater, followed by an armed robbery on Bond Drive near Amal Drive on October 22. They targeted a taxi driver on November 8 and an armed robbery on Pickfair Avenue near Lakewood Amphitheater. On November 11, they committed an armed robbery and carjacking on Pollard Boulevard, just south of Turner Field. Their spree continued in Buckhead, where on November 19, they robbed and carjacked a 2005 Toyota Highlander on Greenview Avenue, and the next day, November 20, they committed a similar crime on Ferncliff Road. The violence escalated on November 21, when they robbed a victim on Park Avenue. And kicked to his demise while being beat into the Black Gangster disciples in June 2009. Police says bringing down these gang leaders helps in the fight against gang activity. That's it, not all fun and gangs. There is serious time and punishment involved in this, said Albany Police Sergeant Pritesh Patel. About a dozen people have been implicated in Richardson's demise in an investigation that has run 2 years. 5 men are scheduled to stand trial for Richardson's demise July 18th. 6 other suspected gang members have already entered plea deals and are supposed to testify against the other defendants.
Top story tonight at 11, the founder of the Mafia criminal street gang in Middle Georgia was sentenced to the maximum prison term allowed by law for illegally possessing a firearm. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde will spend the next 15 years behind bars, followed by 3 years of probation. Clyde pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in April. The founder of the Macon Mafia gang was arrested in 2023, according to court documents.
The founder of the Mafia criminal street gang and man accused of aiding in 2023 Bibb jail escape is facing up to 15 years in prison for illegally possessing a firearm, according to United States Attorney's Office, Middle District of Georgia. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon on April 10. Clyde is facing a maximum of 15 years in prison to be followed by 3 years of supervised release. Clyde's sentencing is scheduled for July 3, and there is no parole in the federal system. The Mafia criminal gang is tied to violent crime and large-scale fentanyl distribution in Macon and Middle Georgia, causing grave harm to our community, said U.S. According to court documents and statements made in court, Clyde is the documented founder of the Mafia, a criminal street gang operating in Middle Georgia and West Virginia. Clyde was wanted on an outstanding probation violation warrant when officers from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office and Jones County Sheriff's Office arrested him on October 8, 2023. They found a digital scale with a white powdery substance in the front seat of the SUV that he was driving. They also found a Taurus G2S 9mm handgun inside the glove box. In November, Sheriff David Davis said the Mafia, including Clyde, aided in the Bibb County jail escape in October 2023. He's a particularly high-ranking member of the Mafia organization, Davis said. Now he's facing federal charges in connection to his involvement with Mr. Barnwell and in the escape.
The leader of a serial armed robbery crew has been sentenced to life in prison after violent restaurant robberies across Gwinnett County, all happening in 2017. Demetrius Sims was given 4 consecutive life sentences plus 90 years. Police say for weeks, Sims led a crew of bandits who set up restaurants to be robbed. In one of those incidents, Sims shot a manager of a pizza store in Mountain Park.
Demetrius Marquel Sims manager when he attempted to flee. On October 4, Sims set up the robbery of a Papa John's delivery driver at the Vines Apartments in Norcross, using his own phone to place the order. When police later broadcast Sims' phone number to alert restaurants, Sims shifted back to robbing restaurants in person. On October 9, Sims shot the manager of Marco's Pizza at Wade's gang, the 1831 Piru Bloods, is a local branch of the nationwide Piru Street gang that originated in Compton, California in the 1960s. In July 2021, authorities executed a search warrant at Wade's apartment on Jennings Mill Parkway. Wade attempted to escape by jumping from a third-story window, but was quickly apprehended by a police K-9 unit. Inside the apartment, law enforcement officers seized multiple drugs, a Glock 19 handgun equipped with an illegal auto-sear switch, converting it into a fully automatic machine gun, was found in Wade's bedroom dresser, along with a 30-round extended magazine and a 50-round drum magazine. Wade admitted to keeping the weapon for protection. Additionally, officers recovered other firearms and a kilo press used for compressing drugs for distribution. Wade confessed to buying and selling large
Case
quantities.
by case, the pattern repeats itself. Different names, different colors, different territories, but the same machine underneath. Power, money, loyalty, retaliation, and the constant pressure of law enforcement trying to break the cycle. What these cases reveal, when you line them up side by side, is that gang activity in Georgia was never just an Atlanta problem, and it was never homegrown alone. The Piru's lineage traces back to Compton. The Gangster disciples trace back to Chicago. The Rolling 60s came from LA. These are national brands that put down roots in Georgia soil, in the city, in the suburbs, and in small towns most people assume are untouched, and the investigations chasing them cross the same lines, stitched together through federal task forces, RICO statutes, and the witnesses brave enough to talk. But behind every indictment count and every headline is a real community and real people. The victims caught in the crossfire, the families left with an empty chair, the neighborhoods trying to reclaim their own streets. They're the reason these stories matter, and the reason cases like these keep landing in Georgia courtrooms. So the question is the one that never fully goes away. Do these crackdowns actually break the networks, or do they just clear the board for the next crew to rise? Every indictment is a step towards safer streets, but the fight is far from over. If you made it this far, do us a favor, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling us which Georgia city or gang we should cover next, and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns right here on AllScoopsMedia. We'll see you in the next one.